because it's past chair, current chair, vice chair.
And welcome to the Whatcom County Council meeting for Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. And welcome, everybody. I would now ask that we have the roll call.
Rudd Brown,
Here.
Barry Buchanan,
Here?
Tyler Bird,
Here.
Todd Donovan,
Present.
Ben Ellenboss,
Present.
Carol Frazee,
Here.
Kathy Kirschner,
Here.
Thank you. Would you please rise and join me in the flag salute? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, just a couple of quick announcements. Number one, if you have your cell phone with you, please put it on vibrate or turn it off. And if you will be handing out any paperwork to council members, please make sure that our staff gets a copy for their records. Our first 5 items are minutes from last year. Council members that weren't here, I would imagine you'd recuse, but I would entertain a motion for approval.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion, corrections, additions, or deletions to those minutes?
If I recall conversation from legal last year, you can still participate because it's confirming the meeting minutes so that they go into the record, not so much as the accuracy per se, but.
Yeah, they can vote.
Okay.
You can vote if you so desire. So here, with all that, all those in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye. Oppose? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
I'll abstain.
Okay, that passes 5-2 with 2 abstentions, Ellenboss and Kirschner. Next up is, I'd like to welcome our new county executive, Satpal Singh Sidhu, and he will present some remarks to the council and to the public on his commencement of his term.
Good evening. Welcome to newly elected council members, as well as to the rest of the council. This is the first meeting of the year, first meeting of the decade, new decade. And I just have some prepared remarks. It's a little bit about me and then what I see as my vision. So 50 years ago, when man landed on the moon in July 1969, I received my degree in physics and mathematics, and I was just 19 years old. I had the same dream as millions of young kids all over the world to become an engineer and work in America, the land of opportunity. Then I became an electrical engineer and immigrated 40 years ago. And today, here I am. A true American dream is unfolding in front of us all. I would like to start with acknowledgement that we are gathered here on the ancestral homelands of coastal Salish people, the Lummi Nation and Nooksack tribe, and thank them for their enduring care and protection of our shared lands and waterways. I'm so humbled and honored by the incredible support and trust from varied groups like farmers, labor unions, firefighters, environmental groups, tribal members, business owners, professionals, doctors, lawyers, teachers, students, and common Americans like me who gave me the opportunity to serve as your county executive. The most asked questions during the past year have been, why you want this job, and what is your vision for Whatcom County? It is my passion and commitment to serve my community and share the values of fairness, inclusion, and equal opportunity for all. Together, we can address the challenges before us. My leadership vision is that working together, we can achieve something bigger than all of us, which we may not be able to perceive or create as individuals. And now the work begins. It's a tall promise, easier said than done, but we know the only constant in life is change. And this is where you all come in, because to manage the change which is happening in spite of us, we need to work together. There are two immediate challenges I see. The first is getting the Whatcom County working together. We all know that we are better than our current politics. Our land, our water, our housing, our environment, climate change, jobs, criminal justice, and most other local issues are not liberal or conservative issues. We, as local community, are paralyzed to solve our common issues because of our inability to have civil and meaningful dialogue. We must lower the temperature. The second challenge is getting to the consensus. Consensus does not mean we agree on everything. It means we can all live with the solutions we propose collectively. We have more in common than what divides us. Let's not deprive our kids and grandkids from a bright and joyful future because of our empty and meaningless rhetoric of labels. We, the people of Whatcom County, need to have a courage to disagree and still love each other. There are several local issues requiring our commitment to work together and seek practical solutions that we can live with, but there will be some new issues coming in the months and years ahead. Let's take a break from ideologies and labels of all kinds and try something simple and practical. And let me share a few words about some of these issues. The first one is concept of a joint civic plaza. I have met a few times with the new mayor of Bellingham, Seth Fleetwood, to discuss how can we work together on the issues which are important to both City of Bellingham and Whatcom County. One such thing is developing a concept of joint civic plaza plan for next 25 years. Both county and city can build joint buildings and save millions of dollars for the taxpayers. Housing and land use policies. The rising cost of housing at all income levels is a serious threat to our economic vitality, public well-being, and health of our community. It challenges the very livelihood of our future generations. Our businesses are unable to expand because employees earning decent wages are also not able to find affordable housing. I will seek leadership and advice from the County Council and the governments of Bellingham and all small cities to develop a countywide coherent land use policies to create mixed housing zones and expand the availability of residential lots over the next 25 to 30 years. Criminal justice reform, health, and human services. Meeting the most basic needs of health and human services in our community is a floor, not a ceiling. Our criminal justice system reforms must prioritize providing behavioral health treatment, drug and opioid addiction rehabilitation services, and new alternates to incarceration before any brick and mortar investments. I will seek leadership and advice from the County Council and other stakeholders to move forward with the proposed reforms in the criminal justice system. I would like to note that County Prosecutor Eric Ritchie and Sheriff Bill Elfo have done a marvelous job implementing new alternatives to incarceration like bail reforms, electronic home monitoring, and programs like LEAD and GRACE and other administrative changes. The Incarceration Prevention and Reduction Task Force has been diligently working on criminal justice reforms since 2017 with positive, tangible outcomes. Our local government budgets are already stretched to invest more funds to improve behavioral health services, addiction treatment, homelessness, and affordable housing. But together, we must seek additional resources from state, federal, and other organizations to support and expand our programs and services to reach all residents in need of these services. Tribal relations. We recognize the inherent sovereignty and treaty rights of Lummi and Nooksack tribes. We must expand our cooperation for a meaningful and respectful relationship with tribal nations and embark upon the projects of mutual importance like water, salmon habitat enhancement, cultural heritage preservation, creating new jobs, economic expansion, and other projects in the best interest of all residents. I look forward to starting a new era of cooperation with both Lummi and Nooksack governments and the tribal members. Protecting our environment and climate change mitigation. Let me reiterate that climate change is not a hoax, it is real. Ask our local farmers. We must take immediate steps to address this serious issue. I have taken preliminary steps to organize a movement to plant 1 million new trees over the next 5 years. The motto of the program is 1 tree per person per year. This will not be a county government program, but a community-led movement with support from industry, business entities, educational institutions, and other organizations and residents of Whatcom County. For the sake of future generations, we must continue to protect our critical environmental areas, salmon and wildlife habitat, and Salish Sea. I will be starting conversations with Cherry Point industry leaders, tribal leaders, environmental groups, major businesses, Western Washington University, and other interested organizations to develop a common platform for sharing ideas and projects to work cooperatively to address the ways of mitigating impacts of climate change and enhance our environment for our future generations. Water for farmers, fish, and forestry. Water is a vital resource for our food supply, economy, and lifestyle of tribes and other residents alike. I pledge to work with all stakeholders to move forward with the discussions and possible consensus on many aspects of water needs in our county. We all win when we can reach mutually when we can reach mutually agreeable settlements rather than seeking help from the courts. Inclusion, diversity, and immigrants. I cannot emphasize enough that hate and discrimination has no place in Whatcom County. We respect the equality and dignity of all people, and I firmly believe diversity is our strength, not our problem. We know that today's immigrants are tomorrow's county executives, or university presidents, or government leaders, farmers, teachers, doctors, soldiers, entrepreneurs, activists, and they are all pillars of our communities. The American dream continues. I'm very thankful for the assistance Jack Laus and administration staff team provided me to make sure that our transition is smooth. Also, I have a diverse transition team hard at work to assist me in ensuring that we have the information and broad perspectives to tackle the issues facing our county. I see myself more as a public servant-in-chief than as county executive. I recognize that I'm joining a group of dedicated, capable, and productive public servants led by talented department heads. I'm looking forward to working with Whatcom County Council members and other elected officials, mayors and council members of Bellingham and all small cities, and other quasi-government organizations like WTA, PUD, Council of Governments, and others. The most important of all, I look forward to working with you, the voters, who are the boss of all the governments. I would like to thank my wife, Mother, and my family for supporting my public service. This is an exciting moment in my life. I look forward to the future months and years ahead as we build a prosperous future for succeeding generations, for our succeeding generations to treasure and enjoy our country. God bless you, and and God bless America. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Sadhu. We'll now move into our public hearings. We had a committee of the whole meeting this afternoon to discuss whether we would even hold this meeting tonight, and what we do with the public hearings. So what we did is we decided that we would leave these on the agenda tonight, but we would not close the public hearings like we normally do and vote. We will not be voting on anything tonight that we're having a public hearing on. So we have 2 hearings scheduled on the agenda for this evening. Both hearings will be opened, and the hearings will continue on January 28th. As is customary with all of our public hearings, each person will be given 3 minutes to address the council. So here's the thing with a split public hearing. If you testify tonight, you will not be able to testify on the 28th because it's one 3-minute testimony per public hearing. That's our rules. Some of the other things in public hearings is each speaker should state his or her name for the record, and optionally you can include what city you live in. Audience members who wish to address the council during a public hearing are asked to sign up at the back of the room prior to the meeting, and then the council chair will ask those who sign up to form a line. And we ask you to use both podiums, please. I'd like to emphasize this one. We don't usually emphasize this one, but when a large group of individuals support the same position, especially on a night like tonight when we do have some bad weather and it looks like it's snowing pretty good, we encourage you to send 1 or 2 representatives to speak on behalf of your issue. If we do that tonight, we will make sure that anyone that was on this list that doesn't testify is crossed off and would be able to testify next time. We want to make this as fair as possible. When using the microphone, speak closely into the microphone so you can actually hear yourself over the speakers, because it's a big room and it's hard for us to hear up here sometimes. So with that, I would say let's move into our public hearings. The first one is an ordinance amending Whatcom County Code Chapters 11.16 and 11.20 to protect Lake Samish shoreline properties and Lake Samish water recreation. And we have a number of people who have signed up. And we're going to start with Lisa Neva. And if we could get others up here, Sarah and Charles Boss, and Howard Molesky, and Klaus Steiber, and Jason Alexander. Go ahead.
I'm on. I'm Lisa Niva, and I live at 258 Shallow Shore at the south end of Lake Samish. I didn't know that I was going to necessarily be speaking until earlier today. I just wanted to share how we use the lake and a little bit about my background. I've been here in town for 16 years, and we have kids here, kids in school. I teach here. We saved everything that we could to buy a house on the lake. Wasn't inherited, and we moved in about a year ago. So we've been in town and then moved to the lake. The kids are loving being on the lake. They're using the boat. We have a 13-foot little boat and motor, and then I am using that and paddleboard. So we're kind of crossing between both sides as far as lake and the waves and things like that. We are, in our family, we're behind the compromise that I think was presented already, and I'm sure somebody else will talk about it a little bit. I also wanted to say that rules applying to Lake Wacom doesn't necessarily make sense to apply to Lake Samish because they're 2 different entities, just like one road might have one speed limit and a different road in a different place with different curves or whatever would have different rules to it. And I also wanted to say that the boating that our kids are doing right now is affecting my child who's, we're starting to look at colleges. And his plan right now is to go to maritime school. And that is directly related to where we live and the fun that he's having into his future. Oh, thank you. Again, we support the compromise.
Thank you, Lisa.
Congratulations on the house.
Sarah and Charles?
I'm the Sarah part. I didn't realize I was signing for speaking as much as, so I signed both of us in tonight. So it's just me speaking.
Okay.
Okay, I'm Sarah Boss. We have a home at 1278 Roy Road. That's at the north end, 5 houses back from Lutherwood. That property has been in my family since 1940. I'm 64 years old right now, and I have spent every summer of my life, at least part of it, at Lake Samish. And I wanted to use this time briefly. I know I also support the compromise, and I wanted to use this time to present, I don't know, a little picture. Can any of you see that from here? This big blue part here, from here to here, is Lake Whatcom, and this little blue part here is Lake Samish. To compare Lake Whatcom to Lake Samish seems ludicrous to me, and I wanted to point that out. Over the years, in the 50s, we had, and the 60s, we had gas on the lake that we could go buy. We had a bar at the lake. We had stores at the lake. All of that got taken away when it wasn't good for the lake. We had oil in motors that has now been taken away because that wasn't good for the lake. We had, in the 80s, we had lots of research done on the lake quality of water, and University, Western Washington, which I went there, by the way. I was also a probation officer here, long time ago. Anyway, sewers were put in the 80s as a result of that research. I don't think there's anything about Lake Samish that hasn't been about, let's be safe, let's make sure we're looking at quality of care for the water, for the land. Bulkheads got limited. The bridge was damaged, and so people have been moving things around with that. I am in full support of putting buoys out at my 150-foot spot. We use a ski boat, we use kayaks, we use paddleboards, we use everything. I have zero desire to have any of that go away. Our neighbors have a lovely wake boat and have always put it into the middle of the water, respecting the fact that the wakes are bigger. So I think that this can be worked out, just like this lovely gentleman spoke, that compromise is good. Thank
30
you.
seconds, please.
Thank you, sir.
One thing I did forget to mention is we do not allow reaction to testimony, whether it be positive or negative, just to make everyone feel comfortable testifying. So if you would please refrain from that. I appreciate that you appreciate them, but let's keep that, let's don't do that. So, Jason Alexander.
Can I have some maps to hand out to the council? Is that possible?
Yeah, give one to the staff.
Lisa and Iva's two boys to assist me here, so thank you for that. So my name is Jason Alexander. I'm a 30-year resident of Bellingham. My wife and I own an IT software consulting firm here in town, and we've been living on Lake Samish for about 6 years. I'm here to speak in support of this initiative. You've heard a number of reasons why this makes sense over the last X number of months. Let's talk about why we are here. I'm going to start by stating the obvious. We really shouldn't be. Every rational person in this room agrees, had this been handled differently 9, 10 months ago, we wouldn't be here today. Mr. Satpal actually spoke to this a little bit earlier. As you well know, it's difficult to get everyone together on any particular issue. But it's important to try and work through our differences and build to a consensus. It's important to communicate, to listen, to try and understand. That's how we solve problems. That's how we move forward. That's exactly what we teach our kids. Let's compare the approaches of these two different groups. First, the original proponents that put limitations on what we could do. Fact, they made no effort to let their neighbors know what they were doing. Fact, there's just a handful of them that presented only one position on this issue. By the time this ordinance had passed, most of us were still wrapping up activities with our kids and getting prepared for summer. Imagine coming home one day and finding out that your neighbor imposed a rule on how you could use the park right behind you without asking for your input. Whether you agree or not, how would you feel? I have a couple of my neighbors here tonight. They would be horrified if I got upset about something like that. I would be horrified if I'd done something like that. Along those lines, let's examine how the people that crafted what I thought you were voting on today, what you're voting on in 2 weeks. Upon learning upon the resolution last year, folks like Eric, Paul, Rich, Mary, Janet, among a bunch of others, started reaching out to the community. The following months were spent communicating with hundreds of neighbors and building a consensus on what we as a community would want. They compiled the wishes of everyone, kayakers, swimmers, boaters, and yes, even the wishes of the original proponents. From this, they created essentially the compromise. That's what we were hoping you're voting on today, but voting on in 2 weeks. This map illustrates the people that supported that. We basically took everybody that signed that petition and mapped them around the lake. You'll notice it's not necessarily one portion of the lake. It's the entire lake. The parts that you see that don't necessarily are not colored in purple.
30 seconds, please.
There's some folks that don't even live there. They're just along the freeway, or it's greenbelt. We are fortunate to live where we do. To the paddlers and kayakers and swimmers, I say please come and know that we too do those activities. In fact, I would argue more so than boating. My daughter has been at kayak since she was 6. We practice for ski to sea on the lake. We encourage our friends and associates to stop by. And like many others here tonight, we offer up our home as a destination. It's just what you do. That's how it is out there. Our kids swim off and play off each
Time.
other's docks and beaches. This is not an item. This is not a divisive item. We're all in this together. Please support this. Thank you for your time.
One. If we could get Caitlin Wilson, Sheila Cluck, and Sharon Cody up as well, please.
My name's Howard Molesky, 268 Friday Creek Road. My wife and I have been full-time residents of Lake Samish since October of 1970. Many of the things that were already said I planned on saying, so while I was patiently waiting, I've come up with something a little different to emphasize how important this is to me. I first voted in an election in 1964. All I remember was Lyndon Johnson and Barry Goldwater. Don't ask me what else was on the ballot. I have no idea who was running, what was going on. 56 years later, whether it's right or wrong, I've become involved in a political issue. This is the 4th meeting I've attended over this. And like I say, whether it's right or wrong, it's moved me enough and disturbed me enough that I've come down here tonight, along with a lot of other people, to say what has happened in the last 6 months is just not right. Our new executive talks about the American dream. It's so true, but part of my American dream has been eroded because of this. I raised 2 boys in the lake, and they both are heavily involved in water activities to this day, along with my 5 grandchildren. This whole issue has been just unnerving to me as what's been happening on the lake. So I ask you to please support what we're trying to do here. Thank you.
Hi, I have some papers to give you.
Name, please.
My name is Caitlin Wilson. I live at 921 Westlake Samish Drive. I've lived there for 23 years. So I'll give you just a second to pass those around. I would like to encourage the council to maintain the 300-foot protection zone at Lake Samish. So if you take a look at the numbers in front of you, and these are calculated by Dr. Jerry Johnson, a 39-year professor of mathematics at Western Washington University, you'll see that the current ordinances leave the entire lake available to low-speed boating, and they leave 3/5 of it available to high-speed boating. 3/5. No one is trying to get rid of motorized boating. There's an attempt to make things perhaps a little more equal. So the people who are perhaps suggesting that this is unfair are asking for another 18% of the lake the protection zone to be available, even though the majority of the lake is already available for the use of motorized boats. So the protection zone, it really allows for other recreational users to use and enjoy Lake Samish without feeling like they have to fear for their safety. And I would strongly urge the council to continue to protect it. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin.
So I had called Sheila Cluck, Sharon Cody, Miranda Scully, Greg Erickson, and Deborah Noonan. Please come forward.
Good evening, council members. My name is Klaus Stoiber, and I'm not lucky enough to have a house on Lake Samish, but I do live in Bellingham, and I enjoy the many waterways of the county. I'm a professional engineer. I've spent 30 years in industrial operations, and part of my job has been to do risk assessments, safety audits, and I can tell you that in my 30 years, we've come a long way in the industry, gotten a lot safer, and it's only gone one way, and that's better. And I see this a little bit the same, and there's lots of issues, lots of emotion here I see in this room, and I'm glad it's as respectful as it is, but for me, this is a safety issue. This is the one thing that I see here that's more significant than anything else. And when you've got swimmers and kayakers on an imaginary line of 150 feet, and boaters are allowed to come right up against that imaginary line, it doesn't really work. If I'm in an industrial plant, there's a walkway at 100 feet up. We don't just have a line that says, don't go past this line. We put up a barrier. We don't have that luxury here. I don't think there's a possibility of a barrier. So instead, you do a buffer. A buffer makes sense to me. A buffer is meant to capture that swimmer that does stray a little further out accidentally, a boater that strays accidentally in. The fact that this exists on Lake Whatcom, the size difference of the lakes, if anything, it makes sense to have a bigger buffer on a smaller lake because the boats have more likelihood of an impact. I think you'd need to have some consistency. There's no strong reason. I can't think of any rational reason why you can say, oh, Whatcom's bigger, so safety's more important there. It's the same safety issue, same kind of lakes. So I don't think you can live with that inconsistency. And I say that recognizing that some might say, well, let's cut back the buffer on Whatcom as well. Maybe. But I think if I was in your position, I'd want to at least be consistent in the logic of what I'm doing. So, my 2 cents. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sharon Cody, and I live at Lake Samish. I've been there for 25 years. I'm here to support the initiative proposed tonight and encourage you to approve the compromise to this ordinance as well. The ordinance passed in June missed the mark in several areas. Arguments in support cited shoreline erosion and damage to personal property and docks. However, according to studies cited by Ryan Erickson of Whatcom County Planning and Development, erosion and damage are caused more by wind and weather than by boating activity during summer. Therefore, implementation of this ordinance will do almost nothing to prevent such damage and erosion. Expansion of the no-wake zone to a point about 2,700 feet east of the bridge from the historic point of 350 feet from the bridge is excessive. It's an increase of over 750%. Along with the doubling of the shoreline setback from 150 feet to 300 feet, motorboat usage of the lake is severely reduced. This change forces all motorized activity into a much smaller surface area, increasing potential conflicts and reducing safety of all users. Adoption of the ordinance was done at the request of a handful of lake residents with limited review and verification by council. It does not represent and is not supported by the majority of Lake Samish residents. Alternative, the proposal on tonight's agenda, if this is adopted, it will maintain the new 300-foot shoreline setback for boats creating the largest of wakes, while still maintaining the previous 150-foot setback for smaller craft. It will increase to about 800 feet, the no-wake zone east of the bridge, from the historic distance of 350 feet, an increase of 230% instead of the 750% that it has gone up now. At that point, the shore-to-shore distance is 600 feet, fully encompassing the new setback for larger producing vessels in that area. And this is supported by the majority of Lake Samish households. The physical petition that was signed by over 400 residents during the summer of 2019, and the online petition with over 2,300 signatures bear this out. So I'd like to just ask you to please reconsider the impact and unintended consequences of the ordinance adopted in June and approve tonight's proposal as a compromise. Thank you.
My name is Sheila Cluck. I am a resident of Bellingham, and many of the people attending tonight's meeting have in common that we all enjoy being on Lake Samish. My support is in maintaining the 300-foot protection zone. As a geotechnical engineer, I have a concern of wave run-up causing shore erosion, and that's caused by wind and powerboats. The 300-foot distance gives more distance for wave attenuation so that waves decrease and can do less damage. The powerboats have a concern that they can endanger swimmers, paddleboarders, kayakers, animals, and not vice versa. The biggest safety concern would be a boater pulling a skier would have difficulty watching for and seeing a swimmer in the water. Regardless of the council's decision, we have a responsibility to take care of our fellow lake users, the animals, and the lake that we all enjoy. I trust that if anyone were in trouble on the lake, any of us will step up to help. We talk about our safety, our rights, our freedoms. I heard a quote that in Russia you have the freedom to smoke wherever you like, but it's a difference of this is just a boundary move. And I'm glad to see that people are being civil about the discussion, and we all do want to take care of each other as lake users. Thank you.
And then would Marinda Scully, Deborah Noonan, Nancy Zimmerman please come up?
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Greg Erickson. I've been a resident of Lake Samish for 60 of my 72 years. There's been a lot of comments here. I'm not going to go over the same ones again. I'd like you to support the compromise that the majority of people at the lake have introduced and brought to you. And also, don't compare Lake Samish with Lake Wacom, two totally different areas. And I was a volunteer fire department on the volunteer fire department, and I'm retired now for 18 years. And back many years ago, there'd been some accidents that I'm aware of, but in the last 20 years, I'm not aware of any recorded accidents, any serious accidents that have happened because of boating and, kayaking and people mingling together. So my main issue here, and I'd like you to support the compromise that a lot of the people have come up with out at Lake Samish. So thank you.
Thank you.
Merida Scully, I live on Lake Samish. I'd like to talk for a moment about the idea that making a larger area for motorboats to use on Lake Samish would make the lake safer. Have you ever moved into a larger apartment or house and said to yourself, yay, I can get rid of the storage unit? I know I have. And you do. And 3, maybe 5 years later, after Christmas, and Uncle Joe has given you that rather awkward and weird present, and you look at it and you say, you can't get rid of it because he'll want to see it next time he comes. So you say, I'll put it in the storeroom. And you do. You go to the storeroom and you open the door and you look around and there's no space. As human beings, we are expert at filling up space. We've done it successfully all over the world. The idea that creating a larger area for motorboats on Lake Samish, it won't make the lake safer. it will just attract more motorboats. So the lake won't be any safer. Safety is about making good choices. If I am going to go out in my rowing scull, the first thing I do is look at the lake to see what the conditions are and to see how many other boats are out there. If there are too many and I don't think I'm going to be safe, I don't go. I wait till it's later. Or the other alternative is 5:30 in the morning is a really good time to go. I'm giving that one away. But the important thing is that this is about safety, is about self-monitoring and making good choices.
30 seconds, please.
And the other thing I'd just like to say is that recreation is a privilege. It's not a right. Thank you.
So Deborah Noonan, Nancy Zimmerman, then Gary Koch, and Jerry Johnson.
My name is Deborah Noonan, and there are a number of people not wearing blue shirts scattered throughout the audience that are here in support of what I'm about to say as well. The decision you make about the buffer or safety zones around the perimeter of the lake will impact those recreating on Lake Samish for years to come. And I implore you to think about these upcoming years when you vote at the next meeting. Please prioritize the safety of the most vulnerable recreational users on the lake by retaining the 300-foot safety zone that serves to protect them as they swim, paddle, or row near the shore. These recreational users, many of them children, cannot protect themselves from either the wakes or the boats moving at high speeds. Boats that sometimes come in as close as 150 feet from shore. Boats that come in that close before they even see that there was someone in the water beside or in front of them. I know. I've been in the water when this has happened to me. I note that your decision will impact those on Lake Samish for years to come. That is because the number of boats is increasing, the size of the boats and their wakes is increasing, and the activities are more diverse, pulling multiple skiers, multiple tubers, and wakeboarders and wake surfers. Some boating enthusiasts have argued that this means they need more space on the lake to engage in their recreational activities. They argue that the safety zone be moved to 150 feet to give them the needed space. This is flawed reasoning. The response to too many high-speed and or high-wake generating boats in the limited space of Lake Samish is not to reduce the safety zone for swimmers, paddlers, and rowers. One cannot accommodate more boat users by simply decreasing the buffer zone around the lake. Eventually, you run out of buffer. Eventually, the lake is just too small. The 300-foot buffer zone is a minimal safety measure to keep the motorized and non-motorized users safely separated so both can engage in their recreational activities. It should be a non-negotiable safety starting point. Last, it becomes incumbent on all users of the lake to monitor their lake activities. Currently, I have to monitor my activities and potentially not to swim or paddle on the lake, or even sit on my dock when there are large numbers of powerboaters out in the lake. Likewise, boaters have to monitor themselves when there are high numbers of boaters engaged in high-speed activities taking place in the heart of the lake. They too may need to limit their activities rather than trying to reduce the buffer zone around the perimeter of the lake.
30 seconds, please.
As an aside, I've been a competitive water skier, swimmer, and rower at various times in my life. I have enjoyed many motorized boating activities with my children and hope to do more with my grandchildren. But I've now had too many close calls to allow them to swim or paddle more than a few feet from the dock, or even to be on the dock during those wonderful, magical days of summer when powerboaters are out in force. I have here a petition signed by some 800 people that live predominantly in the Whatcom area. The vast majority live here. They are asking that you not change the current protections.
Clerk, please.
A number of them also are from physicians who are noting the horrendous outcomes that result.
Thank you.
So Nancy, then Greg, and then Jerry, and then Jim Cornforth, and Mary Hess, and Mike Hess.
Hi, my name is Nancy Zimmerman, and I live near Lake Samish and have had the opportunity to enjoy the lake by kayaking and canoeing and swimming. And I am concerned that there's more and more boats out there and closer to the shore. And it's unnerving when there's a lot of waves and the boats are near. And there, as the lady just said earlier, that there's a lot more going on, multiple skiers on with one boat and tubers, and it gets scary. So I'm just asking you to please continue with the 300-foot restriction. Thank you.
Nancy.
Is Greg either Koth or Coat? I can't quite read your writing.
That was just a sign-in sheet. I don't want to talk.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Jerry?
Jerry Johnson, I live at 935 Westlake Samish, and bad day for me to be here. The Lake Samish community has been torn apart by this issue, impacting neighborly interactions and even friendships in turn. Several of my friends have already testified in blue shirts. In turn, I'm appalled by the bullying and negative rhetoric that continues to surface. Feeling they will be targeted, many residents are hesitant to be here and speak out. I've been told to move away from the lake if I don't like boats. Boats are not my issue. My focus is on safety of swimmers and people in non-motorized craft. In packet number 1, considers in 1954, the county council passed a law requiring boats to stay 300 feet from docks and shoreline in Lake Samish. Back in 1954, there were no big power boats, yet the effect of wakes was part of the discussion. My house is the only one in the south shore of the narrow channel. Now there's 16 houses there. In the mid-1960s, many boaters openly disregarded the law. Members of the Lake Samish community made presentations before the county council in the 60s, reporting that conditions were worse than ever before. The 300-foot restriction was retained. Unfortunately, the two leaders of this community effort were shunned by the Lake Samish residents for the remainder of their lives. Both men are now deceased, or I'd have them here to testify. In the early 1990s, the current law was passed, making the 300-foot condition uniform on both Lake Samish and Lake Whatcom. But one person, County Sheriff Larry Mount, decided that the 150 feet was ample for Lake Samish, and he made the change, but not changing the law. I moved to Lake Samish in 1984, had a ski boat, and everything was great. But in the past 5 years, conditions are worse now than ever before. This is due to 4 factors: increased population on the lake, increased number of boats on the lake, increased size, power, and wake effects of boats, and lack of enforcement. Often, especially on summer weekends, it's not safe for anybody to swim near my dock or be on a paddleboard. Too many boaters treat the narrow passage as a raceway, and I don't say all boaters. Many of the boaters are very considerate, but some of the boaters treat it as a raceway, regularly pass at high speed within 20 feet of my dock. When I raised the issue of safety in previous testimony, I was criticized because of no evidence the lake was unsafe. That is, I could not report any accidents. Using misguided logic, one member of the council then concluded that Lake Samish was safe. Packet number 2 represents my half-hour internet search for accidents. I limited my focus to the United States during the years 2018-2019 and only on boat accidents and designated swimming areas. Unfortunately, a great many swimmers have been maimed by boats and many have died.
30 seconds, please.
Prior to those accidents, those lakes were thought to be safe as well. Packet number 3 talks about 1978 when Whatcom County adopted a self-insurance program. They reduced the traffic speeds on county roads from 50 to 35 miles an hour. A lot of people disagreed with that. In fact, the majority disagreed with it. But the reason they did it was to reduce the number of accidents. And secondly, in the articles you see in number 3, they were talking about safety issues that they were concerned about. I asked the council to do the same, make a decision that reduces the county's liability and shows a concern for issues of safety. Yet I realize that any vote is meaningless unless the full Lake Samish community is willing to abide by the law and increased enforcement occurs. Being a fatalist and student of Lake Samish's history, I believe neither will occur.
Thank you, Jerry.
I'm Jim Cornforth. I live next door to Jerry. I've lived on Lake Samish for 19 years. In the 1970s, I was very fortunate as a YMCA director to be able to be commissioned to write the very first book on lifeguarding in the United States. That book is currently being used for the YMCA and also by the American Red Cross. So consequently, in my position sitting on my dock, at my deck overlooking the lake, in that position, I'm very conscientious about lifeguarding and watching the children who are my neighbors swimming, and particularly watching my wife swimming. She is not healthy. She is a fairly handicapped lady, and when she gets in the water, we have to be watching the boating very closely. In the 19 years, there have been at least 5 near incidences of boaters who have hit her, come close to hitting her. And that has really frightened me. When I see the children to the east of us and to the west of us swimming, and there's nobody out there watching the boats coming close to them, I get extremely concerned. I want to share that with you because this position needs to be looked at with keeping the boats further away from our docks. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Well, Mary Hess, Mike Hess, then Penny Jewett, and Jim Holtz. I can't make it out. And then Susan Hoister.
Good evening. I'm Mary Hess, and I live on Lake Samish. I've lived there for about 7 years, and we've owned our property there for over 20 years. I was a proponent of the ordinance, and I was very happy to see some changes being made in the name of safety. As we discussed it as a community, because it was very lopsided and not all the community was involved at first, I recognized that there were things that needed to be done that were not necessarily a part of the ordinance. And I'm a professional engineer. I have done risk assessments and mainly environmental risk assessments and safety risk assessments for the last probably 15 years of my life. When I looked at this, I recognized that what we're missing is monitoring. What we're missing is education. What we're missing is simple boating rules. I am concerned about the safety of the reduced area. We cannot stop the amount of boats that are on Lake Samish. We have public access based on the boat ramp that Fish and Wildlife put in. So we definitely have boats coming in from out of the area. I'm concerned about invasive species entering our lake. There's a lot of things that we can do to protect the lake and protect people. I am a swimmer, I am a kayaker, I am a rowboat person, I also have a powerboat. So multiple use on the lake is what we all came to Lake Samish for. I can swim across that lake at 6 p.m. and I have never had anybody come close to hitting me on a boat. So what do? I carry a flag or a big float. I mean, I do safety precautions. There's education that needs to be done by both swimmers, kayakers, and by motorboats. And we need rules and etiquette on how to work together and to recreate on the lake together. And I think that we've become such a
30 seconds, please.
Such a electronic society that we are not interacting enough. We're not listening to each other, and I think that this compromise is the result of listening to one another. And I believe that as we will also participate in education, that's something that we all promised one another.
Good evening. I'm Mike Hess, 717 West Lake Samish Drive. And I was here in June this past year with a safety concern. I was concerned about the wakeboarding and the large wakes that would come and disturb kayakers, swimmers, etc. And I was hoping that the council would study this and come up with a good law that would improve the situation. What I'm afraid we got was something that created another safety issue, and that is by pushing all the water skiing and wakeboarding and those activities into a smaller area of the lake. There's nothing perfect. I support the amendment, the amended resolution that's being proposed. Thank you very much.
Benny? Then Jim, and then Susan, and then Lise Bogern, and then Steve Schultz.
Penny Jewett. I've lived on Lake Samish for over 35 years. Lake Samish is where the initial concerns that brought about the change to the ordinance for 300 feet were and still are legitimate concerns: enforcement, safety, erosion, water quality, property damage, etc. So I have a question about, does the ordinance in place need to be tweaked or amended? Yes, it does. Yes, in particular, the distance of the no-wake zone, which passes through, there's only one pass-through area on the lake, and it was extended way too far and has created a real issue. However, after experiencing the ordinance in place, is the compromise the best solution? I'm not sure, because those big displacement boats still put up monster waves within the 150 foot of shore, and they're doing the legal speed limit of 5 miles per hour. So that issue is still there. Last summer, all boating activities were allowed. So what were the problems the ordinance created? When did they occur? How were they documented? What did really happen this past summer with the ordinance in place? How do we gather that data? How many of you were denied the activity that you usually do on the lake this summer? What was it? What was denied?
We don't have conversations with the audience.
Okay, where we live, we were prohibited from step starting or skiing from our dock because of the no wake ordinance. Okay, so we were affected by the ordinance in a not a good way. However, I'm now beginning to consider it inconvenient, because what we didn't realize was in the no wake zone, we're not getting the big waves that we have been pummeled with lately. So I say keep the ordinance simple and consistent. Keep the 300-foot distance and move the no wake zone.
Thank you, Penny.
Jim, and then Susan? Are you Jim? Yes. Okay. And you're Susan? Okay. Lise Bogan, and Steve Schultz, then Tim Slesk, then Jeff Shellman, and then Scott Hall.
Lise Bougen, 400 West Lake Samish. I had no intention of speaking. I, again, just thought it was in support. But listening to some of the stories, we've been at Lake Samish for 21 years. We have 4 children who have used the lake since they were 6 months old. So we've been through many stages. Now they're in university years. We've loved the lake. We've enjoyed the boating. We've enjoyed the kayaking. We've enjoyed the wakeboarding. We've paddleboard. We have every floaty, everything you can imagine. We use them all. We swim, the kids, and hundreds of their friends over the years have used the water. We have had no concern for safety. The kids will swim to the other side of the lake, directly across. Neighbors across the end of the lake see them every year coming, greet them, have lemonade. They go any time of the day. We have personally not seen the boating increase. We are shocked when we sit on our deck any time of the day when it's a ghost town. Sometimes it's busy. Maybe you can sit on your deck and you can see 6 boats with the lake. We cherish it. It will be in our family for years to come. And to take away apply so many rules where people need to use common sense and be respectful for each other. We can't just keep taking things away and not being responsible for what we have. So we love it, and we hope that you will consider what we're bringing forward.
Hi, my name is Steve Schultz, 400 Westlake Samish. We have a family place there. Lise is my sister-in-law, and we have had the place for 21 years. It's been an awesome blessing. We've had kids grow up there. We've had lots of groups, ball teams come, and we've just really enjoyed the lake. We've enjoyed the boating. We've enjoyed all the different sports. And I agree with some of the comments that were made about better rules and more clarity on the rules and education on the rules, and so everybody kind of knows what to do and how to do it properly. When I see swimmers that are past 150 yards or 150 feet, I get a little nervous because I don't really like seeing them out there unless they have a floaty or something with them, like a kayak or something to protect them, because I think that's just common sense. But anyways, I'm in support of the compromise. I think you need to consider having a area in the lake that's larger for the boating, just to give them room to do what they need to do. Wakeboarders or wake surfers should be in the middle of the lake, and they should be going down the middle versus close. So I agree, if they're 150 feet from or 300 feet from, that's probably too close. They should be in the middle. So anyways, that's just some of the comments from us. Thanks.
Thank you, Steve.
Hello, I'm Tim Slusk. I live at 781 West Lake Samish. My family, I have a family of 6, so there's 4 children. As someone stated earlier, a lot of our expendable income goes to living on that lake and paying taxes to live there. We enjoy living there. Earlier this year, the rules that were put in place have restricted some of the boat usage on the lake right in front of my house. Hearing all the comments tonight, want to say that we were at a meeting about a few months ago. A member of the Whatcom County Sheriff came and testified that there had been no incidents in Lake Samish in the last decade. 0, not one incident of where someone was hit, someone was injured on Lake Samish. If you're going to start restricting rules because something may happen, then we need to restrict skiing on Mount Baker, going rock climbing at Larrabee State Park, or mountain biking on Galbraith, or virtually anything you do in town. I run every day. I've run the Chuckin' at 50K. I got hurt doing that. If it is not hurting the lake, if there's no reported incidents of safety in a decade, I can have all the PhDs come up here all night long. Well, it could be, it could be dangerous. That is meaningless to me. People get hurt all the time skiing at Mount Baker. Why don't we just write that off and say no more skiing at Mount Baker? We cannot limit the usage and take away our rights where we came to live there just because there may be a safety issue. It's a ghost, it's a straw man argument. I just want to say that if Mr. Sidhu here, who started off this night with his wonderful talking about compromise and people working together, the vast, overwhelming majority of people, as was shown in that poster these children were holding up, support the compromise, and I support the compromise. If you truly work for the people, you will support it, because the vast, overwhelming majority of people support the compromise and do not want our rights to boat on the lake restricted. Thank you.
Hall, 310 Shallow Shore Road. First of all, I'd like to say that the change from the Washington state law to 300 feet and over half a mile from the bridge was done under false pretense. My understanding is one of the #1 reasons for the council supporting that was the idea that erosion from the boats was eroding the county road. That road only washes out in the wintertime from big storms. And if you boat by there on the boat, which some of you came out with an individual and did that, you'll see there's no erosion in the summer months. This was done with very little public notice, and I didn't know anything about it until in the middle of the summer as I'm pulling a a skier, a water skier, on the same line in the lake that I've done for 15 years, I get pulled over by a sheriff's deputy on the lake. And I have no idea why. And then he explains to me why. And he didn't give me a ticket or anything, but it still was very disconcerting to be pulled over for no apparent reason. The lake's only busy on a few busy weekends in the summer. Most days in the middle of the week, there's almost no boats out. My actual opinion is we should go back to how things were and follow the state law. If we don't do that, please support the ordinance. It's a very reasonable compromise. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there a Jeff Shellman?
My name is Jeff Shellman. I live at 480 West Lake Samish Drive. So I've lived in Whatcom County since 1989 when I first came to Western Washington University. I was first introduced to Lake Samish during that time where I spent 4 years with the Western Washington University crew team. For 4 years, I was at the lake almost every day for 9 months of the year. Because of my love for being on Samish, I was ecstatic when 20 years ago, I was able to buy a tiny house right on the water. I've since gotten married and been lucky enough to raise a family on the lake. Almost every day in the spring, summer, and fall, I've enjoyed swimming, kayaking, and paddleboarding with my wife and my 8-year-old daughter. With that, we have also shared wakeboarding, tubing, water skiing, and sky skiing with friends and family. With my time here and the experience that I've had, I feel that I have a right to be heard. I am disgusted that a tiny group of people thought they could speak for the entire lake. The council was given bad information by a very small group of people that said they were representing the lake's needs. The fact that they significantly reduced the available space for every Whatcom County resident is unbelievable. I find that incredibly self-serving and selfish. That being said, I will happily speak for the compromise. I am grateful for a council that can recognize they were given bad information and move forward with the right decision. I appreciate your time. Thank you for doing the right thing. Please approve the compromise. And just take a look. You have a sea of blue that have been forced to compromise on something that was not an issue, but are willing to do so. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That is the end of the sign-up sheets. I do have a person that signed up for the public hearing on the Whatcom County, Lake Whatcom Stormwater Utility, but they have a Lake Samish address, so I was just wondering if Jeff Hunt. You'll pass, okay. So is there anyone else that would like to speak? Come on down, state your name so we can get it in the record.
My name is Ann Brimmer, and I live at 542 West Lake Samish Drive. And I have been at the lake since 1940, and I have about 5 generations that have continued to live there with many children, many activities. I don't think you can name a sport or any activity that my family has not done. We have not had any incidents that have been a problem. I think it's very important to diagnose the problems correctly in order to come up with the correct solutions. Believe in solutions is what we need to do again. Homeowners need to take responsibility for building a dock and protecting erosion for the 10 months of winter, and they'll be okay for the 8 weeks of summer. If there's any help, speaking of solutions, if there's any help from the county, whether it's the engineers or experience or whatever, that resources that we can give to the people of Lake Samish so we can bring the unity back again would be great. We need also to look at the permits and the cost of permits to make them easier. What kind of docks do homeowners have on the saltwater beaches that withstand the waves and the wind? 3, those of us who are lucky enough to live on the lake and pay high taxes often forget that Lake Samish is a beautiful, rural, recreational, natural resource for we, the people. not just for those of us who are lucky enough to live there. Everyone has the right to have fun. It's the balancer of life. 150 feet of water given to each household as a buffer to keep people safe and have their docks and boats is very generous. Give back the rest of the lake to the public and to all those who aren't living at the lake but need a place to go and have fun.
Thank you.
My name's Tom Aliotti. I live at 207 Friday Creek.
Spell that for me.
Aliotti, first name Tom.
Todd?
Tom, Tom, yeah. So I've lived at the lake. I grew up on the lake.
You move the microphone closer.
Well, I
down.
grew up on Lake Samish pretty much, and I've been paying taxes there for over 24 years. And I've made many sacrifices to be there, and I am there to recreate. My family, everybody, that's why I'm there. I like to water ski, I like to kayak, I like to swim. I do all those things. And I don't know how we got to where we got with this. It seems unjust. And I just don't even think that the compromise is enough. And I just feel, if you're going to take away our use, we should get some sort of tax cut that we should be discussing, as well as just, I just don't think it's right. And I think that there hasn't been any accidents, there hasn't been any issues, and I'm very disappointed that we're all here actually discussing it. I think it's a shame, and I want the right back, and that's why I live there. So I hope you do the right thing and throw the whole thing out. That's what I think.
Thank you, Tom.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mary Walker, and I'm a Lake Samish resident.
How do you spell your last name?
Walker?
Walker. Okay.
Yep, thank you. After almost 16 months from its inception, the proponents of the June 4th ordinance have spoken specifically, repeatedly, to two issues, shoreline erosion and safety. You can be well-spoken at a podium and very eloquent, but if you're offering only repeated subjective data, which is not supported by fact or historical events, your talking points are highly suspect, and their values should be equally discounted. Just because you repeat the points over time doesn't make it true. That is no more true than with these 2 points of safety and shoreline erosion. You've heard the emotional, ill-founded pleas. Here are the facts that have been researched and presented to you, not only by the 99% of the area residents, but by your own county staff, Ryan Erickson, and Whatcom County Sheriff's Office, who have provided tangible information which solidly supports 2019-480. There's not been one staff member who has contradicted claims with regard to these two issues. Lake Samish has an impeccable safety record back as far as the data has been collected and recorded that cannot be disputed. I'm a recreational user on the lake, ranging from stand-up paddleboarding, swimming, kayaking. I paddle in excess of 150 days a year, predominantly with my 2 labs in the water at my side, swimming along with me. According to current Whatcom County Code for boating and regulations, I have ample safety buffer around me and never have had an issue with another recreational user. They're already regulated by current Whatcom Code. There are many times I'm on the water with ski boats, wake activities, fishing. I'm confident that I'm safe. We recognize that if you're boating and enter the 100-foot buffer around a swimmer or paddler, you're no longer a boater, you're a criminal, and are governed by current code. Likewise, if you're a swimmer and outside the already provided safety buffer of 150 feet from shoreline, you are no longer a swimmer, you're a criminal, and you are already regulated by county code. Lakeshore erosion is the second main issue that was brought forward last year as a reason for the June 4th ordinance. Again, you have no input from your staff or others bringing forward anything which supports the notion of erosion or property and dock damage
30
related
seconds,
to
please.
wake generating craft. It is true that you can repeat a false narrative to the degree that it becomes to seems plausible. Please don't fall prey to these emotional pleas
which have started this toxic process back in 2018. I ask that you sort through the facts and support the current compromise 2019-480. Thank you.
Do you have anyone else would like to speak on this? Seeing no one, we will pause the public hearing and pick it up again in 2 weeks. So thank you all for coming out. I hope you have a safe, drive carefully, please, and have a safe trip home.
Or you could stay for the
Or
rest
you
of the
could
meeting.
stay.
You don't have to leave.
And have fun.
Stop stuff.
So meeting's adjourned?
Council, take 5. We're going to take a 5-minute break. We'll be back. Okay, I call the meeting back to order, and we have one more public hearing. It's AB 2019-614, an ordinance amending Whatcom County Code 16.30, which is the Lake Whatcom Stormwater Utility Funding Mechanism, changing the date for collection of capital facility charges from January 1, 2020 to January 1, 2021. And I see we have a staff report. Take it away.
Craig Olison, Whatcom County Public Works Stormwater Program Manager. I just wanted to remind you, we do have a couple new members since our meeting in December, where we brought this forward with the request that we delay this for a year to allow us time to really put together a more streamlined version of how we deal with the capital facilities charge. And so as we went over in December, this is going to require us to do a few things. One, we've got some language issues we want to address, as well as the mechanism that we use to collect the funds, which we will be trying to get it on the unified fee schedule, which would be adopted with the budget. So with that, I guess we can open up the hearing unless you have any questions on that delay
Questions for
request.
staff before the hearing? Ms. Kirchner?
I had some questions. I looked up the ordinance that was passed. I couldn't find section 11, so I went to the agenda bill and found it. But I don't see the same thing that you've got here, the 50% 1 year and the 100% the next. So I'm wondering if I'm missing
Yeah,
the
the ordinance
information.
itself says that the original ordinance, the follow-up ordinance that we provided as a proposal for the December meeting, which you have now, basically just bumps out when we adopt the capital facilities charge.
Right, so maybe what I need is the original ordinance with the language that's not clear, just so I can see it. I
The
looked
original,
online.
the original ordinance actually just includes as an exhibit the code that's now under Title 1620, or what is it,
1630-12.
30, yeah, it's under 163120 now.
120, right.
The ordinance itself that established the fees actually had in the 50% phase-in language because we wanted to phase it in the first year, and it had included the total amounts for the individual fees. And so I have a copy of that if you'd like to see it.
That's what I need to see.
Yeah,
Thanks.
let me see if I can dig it up. And I can send it to you again. Would you like that? I can
That
do
would be good.
Okay. No, I can do that. That helps. Anything else?
Anything else for staff? Okay, seeing no button, we will open the public hearing and have one person signed up. Apparently Jeff, who I acknowledged earlier, is not part of that. But David DeYoung.
Lake Samish as well.
He was Lake Samish as well.
Doing that.
Okay, so both the folks that had signed up for this were Lake Samish folks. So is there anyone here that would like to speak to the Lake Whatcom Stormwater Utility Funding Mechanism? Oh, you're not, okay.
Is there open session on any?
We're almost there. So, anyone else? Seeing none, we will pause this public hearing and pick it up again in 2 weeks. So, moving on to public comment. So, we're there. So, audience members are invited to come up and talk about anything that is county business. So, same rules apply, 3 minutes, no applause.
It's not already one of these two.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's not at the public hearing material that we've already covered tonight, just, yeah. So come on ahead, state your name for the record.
My name is Jeff Monks, live at 951 West Lake Samish Drive. I just want to respond to a couple of things that during Seth Paul's talk tonight. One was the planting of 1 million trees. I look around Whatcom County, And I see a great effort has been made in the last 15 or 20 years to do just that. If you go along the Samish River where I fish, hiking through there, they've made a huge buffer for the salmon all along there. There's been a lot of effort for the planting of trees all through Whatcom County, so it's not like we haven't been trying. I think there's been a lot of good effort made. I just want that to be acknowledged. And you can see all around Linden, the stream edges, they're all buffered well with trees now. So I don't know how many trees have been planted, but there's a lot. Another thing that I wanted to talk about was the funding for the treatment in the jails. We have the combined treatment service tax on our property taxes already, and there's I don't know what the amount of money is, but it's comes out of everyone's taxes, so we are doing a great deal to address these issues already within our community. Don't know how much more we need to throw at the people coming into the incarceration. I personally used that service myself. I was overdosed in 2009, and I used combined treatment services and turned my life around. So the treatment of people who are on drugs, they need to want to get better.
30 seconds, please.
And if they just keep coming back through the revolving door, our tax money may be wasted in just trying to treat them in one certain way. It may have to be involuntary incarceration in my mind for people who, how many times do they come through the door? Taxpayer money all being involved in that. One last thing real fast. Consider using the funds for Whatcom County.
Time.
Then just look at possibly using the St. Luke's facility for a jail. It's a long shot, but I live on long shots. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Barry, or Councilmember Buchanan. The advisory task force for the jail, is that open to the public?
You mean the stakeholder advisory?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do we have enough openings? Because this gentleman seemed like he was engaged.
Yeah, we're going to get to that as we get through our agenda, because the deadline is already passed, but I'm going to propose that we create another deadline that's 3 weeks out.
Sir, that spoke last, Mr. Monks, are you going to stick around? Because Councilmember Buchanan's going to have more information that you might be interested in regards to the jail. Perfect.
Go ahead.
Good evening, Council. It's a nice snowy day, and it's really not all that cold, especially if you've experienced 62 below temperatures like I did once upon a time. But this is nice. So, my name is Dana Briggs. After 2 years, I still have absolutely no permanent residence within the county. None. What I'm here to talk to you about is that this is a day of speeches, because it's the beginning of legislative sessions all over the country on all kinds of levels. So we've got people in a particular political party on the federal level talking about things. We have the governor who did the State of the State address down in Olympia today. We had the new county exec who gave his vision and view for what he would like to do in the coming year during his time in office. Words are great. Words get us all inspired. But it's what we do that really counts. And what we do, as most of you on the council have heard, and the two newest individuals are going to hear from me over and over and over again, is that once upon a time, it was spiritually and ethically and morally the right thing to do when it came to addressing and recognizing the importance of the environment and the climate. Now we no longer have the luxury of only doing that. It is a necessity. And so what I'm asking the council to do, like we're asking every level of government within the county to do, is that every single decision that you make from here on out for the foreseeable future, and that could be years if not decades, has to be done through the lens of the climate emergency. Because if we screw this up, none of the other crises that we're trying to solve, none of the other niceties like recreating on Lake Samish are going to be worth anything. So it's the actions that you will take, it's the actions that the exec will take, it's the actions that everybody who lives in the county will take. It is the actions of people like me who, even though I don't have a permanent residence yet, but someday I will, because I like it here, and I enjoy all the people that I work with, even if we do, in fact, not agree with each other from time to time.
30 seconds, please.
So think about it. You need to declare a climate emergency, if nothing else, to acknowledge it. You need to get on with a climate action plan for the county, just like the city of Bellingham has done with theirs. You need to do the things that need to be done, please. Thank you.
Hi, Rich DeVoe, Lake Samish. I assume I'm free to talk about AB 2019-600?
No, that was a public hearing. That's.
No, it wasn't a public hearing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful that traits such as consistency, transparency, need, integrity drive the setback distance for the no wake zone. You had the special meeting of the council earlier today. Councilmember Buchanan, you asked one person from each group to speak. The person who came up for one group identified himself as Mr. James Wilson. Mr. James Wilson told you about the 2,700-foot no wake zone from the bridge, and he said that is set too far. In fact, he said, no doubt about it. Too far from the bridge, no doubt about it. From this very podium, June 4th, 2019, who was the lead speaker for that same group? Mr. James Wilson. What did Mr. James Wilson tell you then? He told you it would only extend, quote, several hundred feet from the bridge. He didn't tell you it's going to extend 2,700 feet from the bridge. He told you several hundred feet from the bridge. He also told you that the distance that it was set at would not be suitable for recreational use. He didn't tell you that it's 1,600 feet wide. So today, now that that has been discovered by the public that in fact it's not several hundred feet, it's 2,700 feet, I think it's generally accepted that no wake zone is going to be reduced. So the fallback position is, yeah, I definitely knew all the time it was way too much. That seems inconsistent to me. It should be set at a point where it's 600 feet shore to shore. The no-wake zone on the other side of the bridge is by far and away the most critical area on Lake Samish. It's where the kids' park is, the water park. You see kids all the time going right to the rope line to swim. That distance for that no-wake zone on that side of the bridge is set at 600 feet shore to shore. It's approximately 450 feet from the bridge. Yet, the expert that testified on June 4, when he told you, no, it has to be way out here, 2,700 feet, is now saying, trust me, it needs to be at approximately 1,600 feet from the bridge. It doesn't have to be 1,600 feet from the bridge. The no-wake zone should be set with consistent parameters, where the shore-to-shore distance on each side of the bridge is 600 feet. Where the kids' park is, it's already set at 450. No one has asked to change that. Why? Because it works. On the other side of the bridge, where there's people with playing games and they got interest and everything else, it's 2,700.
Time.
That should move back to 800 feet from the bridge. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Catherine Kissinger. I live in Bellingham. Do you need my full address or just Bellingham? Okay. I'm one of the applicants for the Climate Impact Advisory Committee, and I was wanting to apply for more committees, but when I was looking online, some of them said that you had to live within a certain area in order to apply, and I had some hard time finding maps for what areas those encompassed. So I wasn't able to apply for every committee that I was interested in, and I just kind of wanted to make sure that you guys were aware that there wasn't adequate mapping for all of those different areas on your websites. That was really my main thing that I wanted to say.
We'll definitely look into that.
Okay, thank you.
If they email in with that kind of question, would someone be able to, or?
That information can be found at the auditor's office. But we are actually looking into doing a better map on our website. The one we have is pretty archaic.
Thank you.
If you go to the election section of the county webpage, you'll see a map for the districts.
Is it the same for all of the different committees?
If it mentions a district, it is.
Okay.
So if it says you're in District 2, it's someone for District 2, and you're in District 2, then...
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Paul Pittman from Bellingham. I'm here today to share a recommendation for Jeff Chalfant. He would like to be considered for the vacancy on the Planning Commission. I've known Jeff for approximately 20 years. I used to work for Whatcom County Public Works, and Jeff at that time worked for Whatcom County Planning. He was a Shoreline administrator. Through that time, I really came to appreciate not only Jeff's knowledge and application of the code, but he always brought a practical solution to challenges that we were coming up with. And Jeff took an exemplary leadership role when it came to the Shoreline Master Plan update, which was approved in 2005. I worked pretty closely with Jeff through that, and he was a great leader and took on a lot of the challenges that come with a code rewrite. Since that time, I've worked with Jeff in the private industry. He works for BP. I'm a small business owner here in town, and Jeff has continued to bring that quality that to any role he seems to take. And I have great confidence that if you selected Jeff to fill this planning role commission, he would bring balance and understanding the application of code from an administrative perspective as well as from a land use perspective. And I highly recommend you select Jeff for this role. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison Calder, Point Roberts. Everyone here knows me, other than, well, Ben. We've met, and I welcome Ms. Kirshner to the council. I have emailed everyone. It went to the council email. I'm not sure if everyone got it, so. I am the president of the Point Roberts Voters Association. I am also a sitting board member of the Point Roberts Taxpayers Association. In reference to what Mr. Sadhu was talking about earlier, we are actually working on doing that inside of Point Roberts. The Point Roberts Taxpayers Association, the Voters Association, the Independent Business Association, we are all now getting together, having meetings together, finding things that we agree upon that need to be done for our community, and are now working together to have town halls and have a unified vision and make sure that, you know, what we agree upon, we work together, because in unison we can actually make things happen. I'm here today as the Voters Association. We have asked over and over again for the county to review the ordinance for the mandatory garbage. I have dove into it a little further. I did a records request through the county. I asked for the tonnage reports that are given for the Whatcom County solid waste tax. I found that the UTC document showed 125 tons of garbage was collected curbside. We were taxed, Whatcom County tax, on 458 tons of garbage, which means in the first 6 months of the year, we were overtaxed $2,835. Not a large amount, but what is more important, those funds never made it back to Whatcom County. The provider did not return those funds. They are sitting with the provider as income. When he did his solid waste tax reports for his quarters, he remitted based on the tonnage that he collected, not including the excess tax that we were charged on our property taxes. So Whatcom County charged us on our property taxes. He then submitted a bill to Whatcom County, which included those Whatcom County taxes. Whatcom County remitted him a check for the services, the Whatcom County solid waste tax, and the state sales tax. When he remitted the taxes back to Whatcom County,
30 seconds, please.
it was only the portion of the actual tonnage. So we have $2,800 worth of taxpayers' dollars that we thought was going to Whatcom County for solid waste tax that is now sitting in. So not only does this prove that this ordinance is wrong, we only used 27% of what we were mandated. I also found that in 2017, it went to the SWEC, where the health department asked for this to be, the ordinance to be changed to where mandatory service was all across the county. And SWEC stated in that July 27th meeting that in unincorporated areas in Whatcom County do not require an exemption, and this should still be allowed. Point Roberts is unincorporated Whatcom County. So if in 2017, SWEC told the health department no, why do we have this ordinance?
What's SWAC?
Solid Waste Executive Committee. If you would like, I have the minutes. I can actually forward them to you.
Thank you. Ken Calder, Point Roberts, fifth generation and almost 50-year resident myself. Here many times, and on a night like tonight, you know that we are passionate about this garbage ordinance. Our family produced 8 cans of garbage this year, but yet we're charged for 26. My grandmother's back in diapers, and so that they didn't end up getting charged over their 26, we took 2 of her cans to our house. We shouldn't be having to do this. We'll help our grandmother out any way we can, but this ordinance was only set up to help one person in Point Roberts, and that is the operator of the business. As Allison just stated, the Solid Waste Executive Committee was opposed to unincorporated areas of Whatcom County being mandated to have curbside collection, which is a regulated industry. The Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission will adjust rates every year, and the next time that they're supposed to look at Point Roberts is after June. For whatever reason, it was set up for January through June to be looked at, which was, and they finally got around to submitting their report a month ago or so, and they stated that garbage was overcharged by 20-some thousand, recycling was undercharged, but yet because the provider didn't ask for a rate review, they did nothing to change it. And there is overtaxation happening to the residents to the property owners of Point Roberts, especially those that do not produce the 26 cans of garbage. Again, back to our household, 8 cans of our own garbage, but yet, so that's just about 1/3 of what we were billed. So our taxation level was 3 times that of somebody who put out the 26 cans. Right from the beginning, always asked for the level of service to be the same across the board as the rest of unincorporated Whatcom County. One 20-gallon mini can is what SSC allows their customers to choose, if they so choose to be customers. And they can also put their service on vacation. Point Roberts property owners are being prejudiced
30 seconds, please.
by this ordinance being a fee put on our property taxes. And if you do not use the full amount that you're mandated to use, that fee becomes a tax because it is fiscal in nature. Nobody that is trying to reduce their waste has any incentive to do so with this mandatory collection in place. I really hope that the Health and
Time.
Public Works Committee will get this on their agenda soon and keep us informed. And we're coming down here. You will be seeing a lot more of us. Thanks.
Question, Barry? Can I ask you a question? And I don't know if you can answer this, but do we have the actual code that you're referring to, or the ordinance that is causing this?
I don't have that number right in front of me.
Okay.
2018, I believe, is when it went through.
In 2018?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's all part of the 8.1. Whatever, all the code on, Whatcom County Code on garbage, and all that starts out as the same as Washington State. The mandate is to reduce your garbage, but yet in Point Roberts, we're being forced to pay for, you know.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Could the administration email a link or something out so we can find that?
8.11?
Becky O'Brien Wilson, and it's on the no wake. It's just a simple clarifier. So when the previous gentleman was talking about the side of the lake where the park is, there was not a designation related to no wake, because when the ordinance doing 300 feet setback from both sides went into effect, it automatically expanded that no wake area. So there was a positive impact in front of the park. Wasn't designated by a latitude, longitude, it just simply exists because of the 300 feet. So that was just a simple explanation. There was no bad intent. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky.
That ordinance number is 2018-031.
Any more speakers? If you want to speak during the open session, please come down and line up.
James Wilson, I think you know who I am. First, I want to take just a couple seconds and be privileged to welcome our two new and repetitively new members of the council, and Sat Paul as well. Public service is great fun, and it's sometimes a bit of a challenge, and I certainly wish you all well. As someone brought it up, I'm going to speak just a little bit on the no wake area. And I just want to touch upon erosion. I've heard several people mention that boats don't really seem to cause much erosion, and much erosion seems to be caused by primarily winter waves and storms. We've had a lot of winds this year. We've had a lot of water this year. I know at least a few of you were out at the lake recently and took a look at it. And something you may have noticed walking along West Lake Samish, and you may have noticed you're out in a boat, is the level of the slough and the growth from the road shoulder down to the lake extends underwater right now. That if you went down on someone's dock and you saw where someone was trying to build and fill in the erosion holes with their rocks, you were looking at an area that was beneath the water line. On the one small dock where you went down, and I wasn't with you, but you may have seen the area where there was a board that was kind of jammed, was sticking way underneath the bank. And it's about a foot and a half under the water line right now. The area of heavy erosion is not at the water level of the winter level of the lake. It's lower. It's at the area where it is in the summer. So I just throw that out for interest. It is at the level of summer. I should mention that also on the east side of the lake, Tyler's mentioned this before, it is a mix of these two different issues, the 600 or 480 or whatever they are, that if you keep and I'm only referring to this to the no wake zone, even though I'm going to utter the words, if you keep the 300 feet on each direction, you effectively have 600 feet across east of the lake already, as far as it may not be no wake, but it's certainly a much slower zone. So those things kind of overlap, and I know you have to absorb these and kind of get them and see how they fit together, and I'm sure you'll come to a smart conclusion. Thank you.
Eric McHenry, Lake Samish, 644 West. I just wanted to address AB 2019-600 as far as why. I'm a little confused, and I think it confuses everybody else that we came out with a new ordinance and made a placement 1,000 feet shore to shore. Don't quite understand the analogy, why it came up, other than I've heard a couple people mention 1,000 feet in some of the previous not public hearings, but the council meetings. I would urge you to look at the issue at hand in regards to the original ordinance 2019-046, I believe, in comparison to 2019-480. There's sense of reason for the measurements as far as what has been come up with, and as well as the compromise as far as keeping the actual proponents of the original ordinance in the mix, as far as trying to compromise with the whole lake community in having a sense of reason for trying to keep everybody at least 75% happy with what happens. Everybody starts talking about shoreline erosion, and I know a few of you have been out to the lake, and I don't believe anybody really saw any shoreline erosion. To James's point, I can agree that the water is high, and it might be hard to see any at that particular point, but at the same time, if the water is high and the wave action is high, that's going to be beating against the shore as well, and there should be some signs of it if that's the case. If you ever are out at Lake Samish, now is a perfect time, or probably a week ago is a perfect time, because when the water comes down from the skies, it comes right down the hills within a day, and there is a lot of water over the roadway, and that water goes over the roadway as well as under the roadway. Because of the makeup of the land, which is clay, shale, and sandstone. So the water isn't retained in many places as far as absorbing the land. It just comes right down to the lake, and you can see the water level lift feet by feet within a couple days. So as far as wave action, whether it is Mother Nature induced or boat induced, yes, there is some, and yes, there is going to be some natural erosion.
30 seconds,
by no
please.
means does it compare to the water and that's coming off the hills. And if state of fact, the road, there's a road that washed out on the east side of the lake, northeast side of the lake, from the river that comes down and dumps into the lake. And as well, if you looked at any of the pipes or the drainage pipes that come into the lake, you'll see quite a bit of sediment and erosion in those particular areas because the water does rush off the hills.
Time.
Those are the facts. Thanks.
Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak at the open public session? Seeing no one, we'll close the public session, and I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight and sharing your testimony with us. Yes, go ahead, Tyler.
I'm wondering about, I'm wondering about the Point Roberts question, because I thought that was actually interesting in the context to what I believe I understood from that was we basically passed this on the assumption that people would be charged for 2 full cans every single month. And then on top of that, we're going to layer on what our tax is for it and pass that tax and the charge on the property bills. But now, when that's coming through, the provider's paying us based on the usage, which is maybe 1 can a month or less. So we're getting a much smaller amount on the tax. So how is that actually going to be handled moving forward? Is that refunded to them? Are we reaching out to the provider to ensure that he's paying that to us because it's a tax, or do we know at this point just unintended consequences? Or
yeah, off the top of my head, Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive, I don't know. If you want to forward the email correspondence, we could have staff get back to you. My understanding is there is a mechanism that allows it to be rolled back into it, but I'd have to give you more details associated with that. But we'd be more than happy. I don't know if that email went to the administration or just went to council members, but we can provide some input to council to what the question is if we get it.
I'd like to know what those details are.
Councilmember Brown.
Maybe if I can add to that is that one of the things which I remember, if I remember correctly, was that it's not added as a tax on the property. It was a collection mechanism. That's what we discussed in 2018, that being such a small community, the billing and collection, that's why it was put on that. That's how it has been in the past, as I understand. So it's not that we added as a tax. It was, we were saying, or it was proposed, that county has a collection system of tax twice a year, and that mechanism will be used for that. Now, if they are keeping that money and is not balancing, that is something black and white. I think that can easily be traced and solved. But it wasn't put in that it's a tax. Otherwise, it should not go to that person. It should come to county, and we should pay them. But this is how it was. It was that his collection of the services was used that as a means of collection. That's all it was.
It almost seems like he should pay the full amount, but also tell us how much he collected. so we can
Exactly. I mean,
calculate the difference.
that's why I said it's black and white. It cannot be hidden, you know.
Brown.
Yeah, I just caution that the gentleman who's running the garbage collection has had to put in infrastructure, and he has to collect garbage through the entire year. Point Roberts has a large seasonal component to it. If we're going to revisit the actual ratio between what the residents are being charged versus what his costs are relative to what the UTC has agreed, I think that needs to be done after a full year, not month by month or quarter by quarter, particularly not in the low season.
Okay. Let's move on to our regular council business. Natural Resources.
Natural Resources Committee had one item on the agenda, a resolution affirming the PDR Oversight Committee ranking and authorizing Wacom County Purchase of Development Rights Administrator and Wacom County Executive proceed with the acquisition of agricultural conservation. I just ran from the back of the room there. Conservation easements on the Roper McLeod to Velde and Hirschkorn applications, and that was approved to council 2-1.
So moved.
And I so move.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion on the table. Any discussion?
You require a second.
No, not from committee.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes from committee, it's already kind of been vetted, so. Okay, hearing none, all those in favor of the resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
So that is 5-2 with Councilmember Ellenboss and Byrd opposed.
I just wanted to keep the 5-2 thing going. I miss Barbara, so.
Where's my hammer? Okay, Finance.
Oh, sorry. The new gig. All right, AB 2020-010, request authorization for the county executive to enter into an interlocal agreement between Wacom County and the cities of Bellingham, Blaine, Everson, Ferndale, Linden, Nooksack, and Sumas to govern the administration of surcharge funds generated as a result of Substitute House Bill 1406 and RCW 82.14.540, pages 22 through 35 in the packet. And that was approved in committee 3-0, and I so move.
Okay, we have a motion on the table. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Next was AB 2020-019, request authorization for the county executive to enter into an interlocal agreement between Wacom County and Washington State Department of Social and Health Services for community-based solutions for improving the ease of access to services and resources in the amount of $70,000. It's pages 36 through 59 in your packet and was approved 3-0 in committee. I so move.
Okay, and you're moving the one that has a replacement page in the blue.
That, well, question.
You are.
So, process-wise though, I didn't see this earlier. Did this come out afterwards? If the committee approves what's in the packet and then this comes out, does that matter? I just mean as far as the boats go and the movement, right? Would it be this or?
It came out at
Okay.
9 a.m. It came out
The
before.
change is
okay.
the
Right.
date,
Yeah, that's this morning.
the
Got it.
date of
Right.
the contract, instead of January 1st, it's January 15th.
Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. And so the blue one in our packet.
Okay.
Or, yeah, not in our packet, on our table.
Okay, discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Next was AB 2020-005, request authorization for the county executive to enter into an intergovernmental agreement between Wacom County and the State of Washington Office of the Secretary of State for the county's share of the cost of the VOTE-WA system in the amount of $56,709 through June 30th, 2025. It's pages 60 through 66, and that passed 3-0 in committee. I so move.
Okay, discussion on that motion?
Aye.
Mr. Byrd? Oh,
Go ahead.
You were
I'm
first.
gonna-
I think this was actually a really good motion or item because ultimately it's saving us quite a bit of money. So we're going from, what was the number, 45,000?
Yes.
Yeah, per year to roughly $11,000 per year through the new system. So that's great for us locally and taxpayers here, so.
Councilmember Kirschner.
And I'll add on to that, that the statewide voter registration database makes it possible for all counties in Washington state to know whether or not somebody's registered in one county and trying to register in another county, or voting in one and trying to vote in another. And it is a much cleaner system. So it's cheaper and it's better, and that is good.
That's good, that's, yeah. Okay, any other discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. All right, now the fun starts. Council appointments to boards, commissions, and committees. First up is an appointment to fill a vacancy on the Board of Equalization. Applicant is John Bruton.
Appoint Mr. Bruton.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously.
Thank you to John for doing this a second time.
Yes, thank you, John. Next one is AB 2020-011. It's appointment to fill vacancies on the Climate Impact Advisory Committee. Applicants are William Harmon, Catherine Kissinger, Kaylee Galloway, Erica Nuremberg, Stephen Harrell, Philip Thompson, David Kirschner, Tim Miller, Cynthia Mitchell. There is an additional resume contained in the orange replacement, additional information page that you got. That wasn't an additional name, that was just a resume. This one's a little more complicated. We have 7 vacancies. 5 are full-time and 2 are partial terms. And we have 9 applicants. So we have a voting sheet, and I'm going to have our staff explain the voting procedure, so everybody's got that.
Got a motion first?
Yeah.
Move to nominate all candidates.
Second?
Okay, we've nominated all 9 applicants.
So I will start, well, I have people in order. They're not our typical order, but I'll do our usual.
Sure.
We have to go the first time and the second time. So I'll just call everybody's name, and you can tell me the 7 people that you would like to be. Is
I
it
don't
7?
know that I was ready for that.
What's that?
So I don't know.
You're not ready for that?
I didn't list them out like that, but okay. Well, this would be interesting.
And Dana,
Do you want me to start, or do you need a couple minutes?
are we going to say them in order? Like our one, is that
No.
going to make a difference?
No, just your
Okay.
7 candidates. And if we
So
don't find.
vote for 7.
Correct.
Is the instructions.
Yes. All right, you ready? Kathy Kirschner.
The first thing that I want to say is that they all live in Bellingham, with the exception of David Kirschner, who lives on Lummi Island, and there are no applicants from District 4. So I don't know why the county task force for, what is this called? I'm sorry.
Climate Impact
Climate
Advisory
Impact
Committee.
Advisory Committee doesn't attract more people from the county to apply, and I would like to address that at one point, but at this point, I'll give you my 7. Kaylee Galloway, William Harmon, David Kirschner, Catherine Kissinger, Tim Miller, Erica Nuremberg, and Philip Thompson.
Barry Buchanan,
Kaylee Galloway, Stephen Harrell, David Kirschner, Tim Miller, Cynthia Mitchell, Erica Nuremberg, and Philip Thompson.
Tyler Bird,
Come back, sorry.
Todd Donovan,
Armin, Kirschner, Galloway, Mitchell, Harrell, Thompson, Nuremberg.
Say
one
that
more
again, a
time,
little
please.
slower.
Can you actually say both names?
Say both names, yeah.
Okay, 2 different. William Harmon, I only wrote down the last. David Kirschner, Kaylee Galloway, Cynthia Mitchell, Stephen Harrell, Philip Thompson, Erica Nuremberg.
Red Brown,
William Harmon, Catherine Kissinger, Erica Nuremberg, Stephen Harrell, Philip Thompson, David Kirschner, Cynthia Mitchell.
Ben Ellenboss,
I'm going to say David Kirschner first, just because he's the only one that doesn't live in Bellingham. And we'll go Kaylee Galloway, William Harmon, Catherine Kissinger, Tim Miller, Erica Nuremberg, Philip Thompson.
Errol Frazee,
Kaylee Galloway, William Harmon, Stephen Harrell, Catherine Kissinger, Cynthia Mitchell, Erica Nuremberg, and Philip Thompson.
Tyler Bird,
Yep. The William Harmon, Catherine Kissinger, Kaylee Galloway, the Cynthia Mitchell, Tim Miller, David Kirschner, and Erica Nuremberg.
Jeopardy music.
Aren't you the musician?
Yep, I'm still waiting. I've been here for 6 years, he still hasn't performed.
I'm taking a break from that and I'm chairing a council meeting.
Schroeder, want to give us an update on the school closures?
Thank you.
Who did that?
Somebody came prepared.
You could take the video down.
Oh, I see. It's a.
So fun, you too.
Welcome to the council, Ben.
Who did that?
Guy made trouble.
Who's going to own up for doing that?
So,
Huh?
Who did the music?
Oh, right here.
Oh, well, congratulations. I thought that was well done.
Rod, you guys were all probably voted most likely to become president. In high school, I was the class clown.
Really? That's surprising.
So Barry, do you want me to read off who I think are the top 7?
read however you want to present it.
Okay, I have Kaylee Galloway with 6, William Harmon with 6, Steve Harrell with 4, double checking our numbers here, David Kirshner with 6, Catherine Kissinger with 5, Tim Miller 4, Cynthia Mitchell 5, Erica Nuremberg, I believe is how you say her name, 7, and Philip Thompson 6.
That's what I got.
Okay.
And that's what Kathy got. Okay, so that would say that we have Erica, Kaylee, William, David, Philip. How many did I just say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then the 2 5s, Catherine and Cynthia.
Yes.
And the way we have done this in the past, since we're doing full and partial terms, the highest vote getters are appointed to the full terms, and the 2 5s would be appointed to the partial term.
The discussion, or just to double check that, because I think that we've done it a couple different ways, but I kind of like, how would that match with the incumbents staying for the full terms? Because I think it'd be nice to have people that have been there for a full term. There's 3 incumbents, so I don't.
One of them
I'm just
didn't get
matching
picked.
I don't know, you just added another whole variable in my brain, so.
Okay, fair enough.
No,
I
don't mind considering that, but.
I'm just, yeah, so I was thinking the people that have been there that are coming back and applying, so there's 3 of them, you give them the full terms.
So Tim Miller did not make it. He's one of the incumbents.
Okay, all
And
right.
Philip Thompson and David Kirshner both got 6s, so they would be a full termer.
All right.
So that works
Perfect.
out.
That's, yep, okay.
Could,
Mr. Whalenboss.
so, out in the crowd, raise your hand if you put in for this. Okay, so in my book, showing up means something, and so I would like to see the person that showed up get a full term if they'd like a full term. Did she get a full term? I thought she was one of the partials. What was your name again? She was a 5, so she would have been a partial, right?
Mr. Chair? Wait, but there's no motion yet, right? Aside from.
There's no motion on the table at this
Then
point.
I will move that the 2 people who receive 5 votes get the short terms as we have done in the past.
Second.
That's my motion.
You have a second?
Yes.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that The two people with 5 votes get the partial 2-year term, or I don't know if it's 2 years. I'm just going to say 2 partial terms. So any discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
I'll oppose it.
And just goes 6-1 with Councilmember Ellenboss opposed. I have to say, I'm impressed that we got through this in one round.
I'm sorry I tried. Thanks for coming.
All right, so let's go to our next. Appointment to fill vacancies on the Drayton Harbor Shellfish Protection District. Our applicant is George Koss.
Move to appoint Mr. Koss.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is appointment to fill vacancies on the Horticulture, Pest, and Disease Board. An applicant is Brett Pell.
Move. Appoint Mr. Pell.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is appointment to fill vacancies on the Incarceration Prevention and Reduction Task Force. Applicants are Stephen Gockley, Greg Winter, Arlene Feld, and Jack Hovenier.
To appoint all applicants.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to appoint all. Any discussion?
Is this the one where you were going to open it up for more? No.
No, that's coming, that's next.
All right.
Or no,
That's
one
number
after.
11.
It's a couple, yeah. Okay, any more discussion?
This is the number of vacancies equal the number of applicants. Right.
There are, yes. There was 4 applicants.
And 4 vacancies.
One happened to apply for 2 categories, that's why,
Gotcha. Okay.
yeah. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next one is an appointment to fill a vacancy on the Wacom County Planning Commission. Applicants are Jim Hansen, Francis David Fitzgerald, Alvin Scott Van Dalen, Kathy Stafford, Jeff Chalfant, and Toey Ween. Councilmember Kirschner?
I move that we appoint Jeff Chalfant, Kathy Stanford, and Alvin Scott Van Deleen, or nominate them for appointment.
Okay, are there any other nominations?
I move to nominate all.
I don't think you can. You have to be District 4 or 2.
Yep.
Yeah, District 4 and 2.
I'm 2.
It's Todd.
You have to be District 4.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I move to nominate all, but I think there's already a motion.
All the rest.
Second.
Well, I asked for additional nominations.
Oh, okay. Well, in addition, I will suggest everybody else.
So all nominate.
Yeah.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, so all applicants have been nominated. Discussion. We will go to another roll call vote.
Actually, discussion. I don't know Jeff, but was it Bryce or that came up earlier? I know that we're losing a really important seat that had a ton of experience with Gary Honkoop, and this is such an intricate portion, and there's so many details in it that it seems like having someone that worked within kind of government here and understands the rules already has a good head start on that. So for what it's worth, Jeff seems like he'd be a good candidate, and I did see his resume in there. That was pretty impressive too. But
Councilmember Brown.
Yeah, this has been interesting because the only, in the 6 years I've been on the council, the only name that I recognize here that has taken an active involvement in other boards and commissions is Jim Hansen. And I've served with Jim in the marine resources, find him to be very, very knowledgeable. He's got deep knowledge of the community, and I'm certainly keen to see him be given an opportunity to continue his service.
Any further discussion prior to the roll call? Mr. Ellenboss?
So we're replacing Gary Honcoop's position? Okay. Honcoop knew the code incredibly well.
There's just a ton of time when they know it so well, I think, and really go through it before it gets to us and answer those hard questions. I mean, I think it's helpful to have that they're vetting that and putting it together before it gets here with everything else that we do, so.
Any further discussion? Being none, please call the roll.
Barry Buchanan,
Jim Hansen?
Tyler Bird,
Jeff.
Todd Donovan,
Hanson.
Brad Brown,
Henson.
Ben Ellenboss,
Jeff Chalfant.
Carol Frazee,
Jim Hansen.
Kathy Kirschner,
Jeff Chalfant.
so I have 4 for
I have 4
Jim
votes for
Hansen.
Jim Hansen. And 3 for Jeff. Is that what you have, Dana? Okay, so Mr. Hansen is appointed. Next up is appointment to fill vacancies on the Solid Waste Advisory Committee. Applicants are Larry McCarter and Rod Pemble. We have 3 vacancies and 2 applicants.
Move to confirm.
Second.
Both mean to appoint both of them?
Yep.
Yeah. It's been moved and seconded to appoint both of them. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Now is appointment to fill vacancies on the Countywide Flood Control Zone District Advisory Committee. The applicants are Dale Buys, Ron Brasma, Kyle Christensen, Holly O'Neill, and the county will be acting as the Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors.
Move to appoint all applicants.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded to appoint all applicants. Discussion? Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I'd just like to say I've served alongside all 4 of these people, and I'm encouraged to see them reapply.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. Next is the appointment to fill vacancies on the Summa Severson Nooksack Flood Control Subzone Advisory Committee. Applicants are Ed Boscher, and the council is acting as the Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors on this one as well.
Nominate Sherman Pollander, is that the one we're on? No. Ed Boscher, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Next up is appointment to fill vacancies on the Linden Everson Flood Control Subzone District Advisory Committee. Applicants are Sherman Pollander, and the council is again acting as the Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors.
This time I move to nominate Sherman Pollander.
I'll second.
Pronounced Polander.
Pollander.
You can leave the Dutch last names to me, I'll do them for you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to nominate. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. The next up is the one that Council Member Ellenboss had asked me about. And this appointment to fill vacancies on the Stakeholder Advisory Committee for the Public Health, Safety, and Justice Facility Needs Assessment. Originally, when we set this in motion, we thought we were going to have a contract to look at today, to vote on. And now that that's been put off, I would like to repost this again and allow another 3 weeks. So my motion would be to post the openings again as its own post, because these were all included in a bigger post for all of these openings. So this would be by itself. And I'd like to have the date for appointment be February 11th. Therefore, they would have a deadline of February 4th.
Second.
Brown.
Yeah, I'd just like to reinforce what you're saying. It's actually quite odd that for an issue like this where there's 8 vacancies, we've only got 3 applicants, and that suggests to me it was not advertised well enough.
Yeah, we're going to work with the executive's office and the council staff to do a better, good job of that.
Right.
Mr. Byrd?
Yeah, I would encourage the council that when these come back, I'm looking at the names, and, Heather and Arlene and Joy, they're all good people. They're all very active in this. We know where they stand. They've participated in a number of other groups and given their opinion. I think it will be very important in this committee that we get fresh voices and that we have people coming onto this committee and helping us craft this and engaging others that we haven't heard from yet. And so I hope that we get a lot more applicants coming back, and when we do, that we can appoint people to this committee that haven't served in the past, so we can hear from them too.
Okay. Other discussion on the motion?
I think that's a great idea, especially considering the discussion that we had this afternoon about being as transparent and open with the public as possible for the best possible chances of passing any kind of funding issue and design issue in November for a new community. Can't just keep hearing from the same people.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed? That passes unanimously. So we will get that back out and make sure that we have a broad coverage in the public. Next one is appointments to fill vacancies on the Birch Bay Watershed and Aquatic Resources Management Advisory Committee, otherwise known as the BB WARM. The applicant is Donald Brown, and we are again acting as the Flood Control Zone District Board of Supervisors. We have an orange additional information sheet that was submitted as well. 2 vacancies, 1 applicant.
Move to appoint or confirm.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That passes 7-0. Okay, the next is special order of business, AB 2020-026, and this is on the approval of special standing council meeting dates. These are the Health Board and the Water Work Session. However, we do have one more that we need to talk about.
Right.
That's not in your packet, that came to my attention just before the meeting.
Lake Wacom.
That is the Lake Wacom Joint Commissioners and Council Members meeting. That's the Bellingham City Council, the Wacom County Council, and the Lake Wacom Water and Sewer District. That meeting has been proposed to be, and I'd lost that piece of paper, but I believe it was Wednesday, March 25th.
Correct, at 6:30.
My memory worked for a little bit. So usually we have a little more notice on this.
I don't remember.
That we vetted around before we get to this point,
Joint
but
policy group talks about it, but I don't think that's happened yet.
Mark Gardner with the City of Bellingham just happened to get the email to me earlier than normal on the possible dates. So I just asked Barry to bring it up tonight to see, so you could check your calendars.
I don't know when we normally do it.
Was it March 21st?
March 25th.
The 25th at 6:30 p.m.
6:30 to about 8:30. So I guess if everybody is there, if they have the ability to check their calendars.
Works for me.
For me.
What was the question one more time?
March 25th. It's a Wednesday. It's an evening meeting. It starts at 6:30. It's held, is it held in City Council chambers? About 2 hours.
March 25th, a Wednesday. What time?
6:30.
I can make that.
Okay. Sounds like we have a consensus up here that, so can we amend our special standing council meeting thing?
The meeting is on the list already, it's just the date and time are to be
Okay.
announced, so we'll just go ahead and add that.
Okay, so do we have a motion to approve this schedule?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the schedule. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No, keep going. I said aye. But when you're done, I have a question.
Sure, that's 7-0, go ahead.
Okay, so I'd just like to ask if as a matter of policy for council meeting dates, and for these dates, if we could ask staff if you could set a calendar invite for each day and then invite every member of the council, that will save us all having to enter these into our calendars. And if there's any changes, then you can automatically update our calendars accordingly.
Can't we just go on the website and subscribe to the iCloud calendar and it would populate our calendar? That's what I did, so
Just
it
spoke another
worked.
language.
Oh, yeah.
I just write it down on a piece of paper.
That's what I did.
You are a professor at a university. You should be able to adapt to changing technologies.
I got a new pen.
Okay. So I just like some clarity.
We can do that.
I thank you for asking, because I remember Pete Kremen asked for that on our first year on council, and I remember how much I appreciated, especially after we didn't have it anymore.
Yeah.
I really did appreciate having those invites, so.
Regular council meetings or any other council meetings. In fact, if I can put a bit more burden, we've all signed up for different committees. I'm going to make it go tilt.
You're getting cold next Christmas.
Yeah.
I think Ben can just teach us how to download it.
Well, are the other committees on that calendar thing or not? No. May I ask the staff?
They will be
dedicate?
eventually.
I'll look into it for you,
Okay,
Councilmember Brown.
Okay.
Brown, is that
I haven't done your
rotary
evaluation
phone
yet, you know that.
Okay, don't get us in any more trouble, Rudd, so.
All right.
We have two introductions up for introduction tonight. Do I have a motion to introduce?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion to introduce. Discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes, and I said aye too, 7-0. Committee reports. Special Committee of the Whole, we had a reorganization today. It'll be up on our, or it'll be in our agenda summary, but the highlights are, I'm the chair, Mr. Byrd is the vice chair. Mr. Ellenboss, you are exec pro tem, is that correct?
No, it's me.
It's you, okay, that's right, because I called you guys anyway, that's the highlights, and,
So close. So it's almost a coup there.
almost a what?
No, go on.
Hostile takeover.
Okay, natural resources.
The only item we had in committee was the PDR thing, which council has just approved. So, and we elected a chair.
Okay, finance and administrative services.
I was appointed chair of finance for the year. We had the three issues up earlier, and then there was quite a bit of conversation around the first one, which was AB 2020-010, about the interlocal agreement with the small cities in Bellingham for the substitute House bill. And the conversation revolved around whether or not we should be putting emphasis on using that new money that we're getting to build more housing inventory, which we felt like had a benefit that was longer term and possibly larger, or some council members did, as opposed to maybe rental subsidies that would have a short-term benefit, but that would not be as long-term for the community. And so that's going to come back to us later after the committee's formed and we are updated and we get more information from them. So that was it.
Okay, thanks. Public Works and Health?
We had the selection of the chair, and I will be the new chair.
Okay. Criminal Justice and Public Safety, we did the same thing. We elected a chair, and I was elected chair. Planning and Development Committee?
Yes, that would be me, and our only order of business was to elect a chair, and I was elected. Can I make a comment about, okay, so we talked earlier in today's meetings about providing housing and housing options, and that would be a great way to control housing costs. And we were all in agreement that we needed to buckle down and get to work. I guess I find it odd that when we choose a planning commissioner, we choose someone whose resume says citizen activist, citizen activist, citizen activist, over somebody who's got 20 years of planning experience. And the only reason I heard was that the citizen activist was on the Marine Resource Recovery committee. But the person with 20 years of planning experience was also on that committee for 8 years and in fact chaired it. So I guess I'm hoping that in my committee we can be serious and get down to work with people who are ready to solve problems and get solutions on the ground, because it boggles my mind how we just picked that planning commissioner. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Special Committee of the Whole, we met today. We had 2 items. First was a discussion regarding the Wacom County Public Health Safety and Justice Needs Assessment. We heard from the sheriff, the prosecutor, county executive, and Mr. Schroeder walked us through kind of where we are in the contract phase at this point. The other one was discussion on the ordinance amending Wacom County Code 1116 to protect Lake Samish shoreline properties and Lake Samish water recreation, and we held that in committee. So that was what we did in the Special Committee of the Whole. So,
Mr. Chair.
Other business.
Mr. Chair, I have other business. I just want to make an announcement or appointment that Tyler Schroeder will be continuing as deputy executive for next 4 years. So we have done some paperwork on that, but I just wanted to make it official. And Jack was very gracious that he didn't make any appointments after November, and he left a whole bunch of stuff, and we are sorting it through. And we'll be also making, like you guys had so many appointments, we'll also be making some appointments, possibly next couple of meetings.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Any other business, starting down here?
Yeah, I just want to welcome Councilperson Kirschner and Ellen Voss, and I look forward to working with you.
Thank you, and thank you for the wonderful gift earlier.
You are welcome.
I think I did this earlier, but I'd like to echo Ms. Frazier's comments to welcome both of you here.
We feel welcome.
Good. I hope so. I hope so.
I do anyway. Yeah. Maybe she doesn't.
That easy.
And I am really pleased that Mr. Schroeder is staying on. So I think, Tyler, I've been very clear in my admiration and respect for the work you do, and I'm very pleased that you'll be providing a smooth transition for all of us. So thank you very much. I just want to bring up 2 issues. They are related. One is we talked about the childcare crisis prior to Christmas. I remain deeply concerned about that. I think the city of Bellingham sort of threw enough money to press the pause button for about 60 days in terms of pausing disaster. And for the 2 new council members, our largest single provider of childcare is has had to close their doors because they have chosen over the years to serve a predominantly low-income segment of the community that is their childcare is paid for by the state, and with the increase in the minimum wage, which I support, unfortunately the state has not increased the reimbursement rate, and so they were going to lose $600,000 or $700,000 this year because of the difference between the two, and they just couldn't afford to do it. He'd already run 2 years of losses, so he had decided to close his doors, and the Boys and Girls Club have stepped forward and are trying to make that work, and I'm very, very keen on us trying to find a solution. The second part to that is at a meeting just before Christmas, I ran into Scott Cortice, who's the mayor of Linden. He asked me about my feelings about the use of the EDI funds for the project they had in Linden, and I said, Scott, I'll be perfectly transparent with you. Until we solve the childcare crisis, I am not, personally speaking as an individual council member, I am not keen to allocate that money for anything other than childcare until we resolve that issue. He wasn't happy with the answer, but I wanted to be transparent to him, and I just wanted to telegraph my sentiments on that to the rest of the council.
Mr. Chair, I would like to add that the budget supplement we are moving. So we had discussions with the city of Bellingham, and they are taking the lead, and we are going along with and they are doing the main negotiations. Of course, we are in touch with Boys and Girls Club as well. So we'll be bringing down the $100,000 budget supplement next meeting. Yeah, the one which introduced today.
May I just add to that too? The shortfall of the childcare program is about equal to the market, maybe even less than market-based rental rate for the buildings. And one of the thoughts I had with the EDI money is if the county bought some or all of the buildings, and I think one in particular is probably not suitable because I think it's just far too expensive. But if the county bought those buildings or other buildings, in other words, put it out what the proper process would be to put it out at an RFP for buildings that would serve that purpose. If the county purchased those buildings and provided it at a peppercorn rent to the Boys and Girls Club, I think we would meet the difference in the shortfall. There's one way of doing it. So that's why I'd like to keep the EDI money available for that purpose until we've decided how we're going to solve that problem.
Tyler?
Yeah, will they be coming back with a presentation on what their plan is before we approve those funds, or?
Tyler Schroeder, Deputy Executive. Yeah, that's my understanding. So the city and county, Terra Sundin and myself, and a couple of the foundation, Mount Baker Foundation, United Way, the Opportunity Council, met with Heather Powell from Boys and Girls Club prior to Christmas. We walked through the shortfalls that the Boys and Girls Club is anticipating. We walked through some kind of expectations or understanding prior to the city and the county providing dollars to the Boys and Girls Club, and ensuring that they've gone through and done some performas and maybe established some committees or at least to understand how to move forward in the future for private or public partnerships. And so, yes, there will be a presentation back to council to kind of give an update on where those conversations have been and where they're going to go. We gave an outline of some requests to Boys and Girls Club, I think just the week before New Year's. I forget at this point, and we're waiting back for a response. But council will have time to hear and understand that prior to the budget supplemental.
Great, thank you. I want to actually thank, I saw John Hutchings in and out all night tonight, and I know that his team is running nonstop right now, cleaning these roads for the entire county so that people can get to work tomorrow and get to their jobs and everything else. And they'll be running all night long, back-to-back shifts for the next several days until the snow is gone. And that's tough work, and I 100% appreciate the fact that they're doing that, and they're still out there doing it for us tonight and all night long. So He's not here right now, but thank you.
I just wanted to join the chorus of welcome for Mr. Ellenboss and Mrs. Kirschner. It's great to have you here. Congratulations to Mr. Sadoo on his election and Ms. Frazee on her reelection. So everybody, welcome to the game, and I look forward to a great year, very productive year working with everyone.
Thank you for all the welcomes back. It's been a pleasure to be back in here. It feels kind of like I've got some deja vu on some things, but I'm happy to be here serving the community. So thanks.
Yeah, I'm still just beside myself that we passed over the most qualified applicant to solve some of our issues and threw in another citizen activist, just beside myself. But thank you for the warm welcome. But, you know, I got elected to do some work, so I want to do work. Thank you.
And I'm beside yourself, too.
I know you are. To my left, weird.
It's been a while. I would just want to echo again, welcoming Kathy and Ben, and congratulating Mr. Sadoo and Carol. Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy New Year.
Drive careful if you're driving.
Are you riding your bike tonight?
No, I have a car.
Wait a minute, I thought you didn't own a car.
I bought one.
For the snow?
It's like a 70.
Okay, well, with no other business before the council, I look forward to this year, and we are adjourned.